You are listening to the #1 real estate podcast, where we talk with real estate agents and professionals all across North America about their wins, losses, lessons, and stories to help you win in your local market. Today, my name's Cody from Sheridan Street. I'm joined with my co-founder and co-host of the Real Estate Podcast, and also co-founder of
the Real Estate Growth Academy.
Real Estate Growth Academy.
Are you? I think you're getting old, bro. Like I keep telling you, you got to stop drinking Coke.
I think I got to mention already.
I think you do know that aluminum causes Alzheimer's. Like it's a proven fact, and you drink at least 2 Cokes a day.
No, bro. No.
6 cups of coffee.
Coffee's different.
Josh, he's had 6 cups of coffee, nothing to eat. I'm like, at least put some fat in there. Like,
and then you get some ghee. You got to put some ghee in there.
Yeah, I got some butter. We got all that stuff, but we have a very, very special guest. Well, like we said before we got into this podcast today, Vikram says I derail the conversation consistently, and he does. He does a very good job at derailing the conversation. Josh Kalinowski. How are you doing, my man? Excited to have you today. Why don't you give us a high-level overview on who?
A brutalization of your last name. I mean, I think you should put Cody in the pit.
No. That was good. That was good. Why don't you give us a high-level overview on who you are, where you're at in the world? Kind of give us what you're doing. Give us the credentials. We want to hear the credentials today.
Inside and outside of real estate.
Yeah.
First of all, let me just start by this. Awesome. Love what you guys are doing already. This is going to be a great podcast. Just listen to the two of you guys banter right now. So I'm enjoying that.
It's like a husband wife.
And
he's definitely the small spoon.
we're canceling this event. I'm going home.
And my last name has been butchered some more ways than you can imagine. In fact, the night I got married to my wife, her aunt got on one of the tables and said, and this is of course after maybe a few beverages, is I'd like to give a toast to the colonoscopies.
I love that.
Great job, buddy. You didn't say that.
I didn't say that. Hey man, like I'm winning in comparison to that.
Yeah, I think everybody wins compared to that. Well,
exactly. Well, man, it's a pleasure to be on here. So I am a entrepreneur, business owner of multiple companies, everything from real estate to property management to roofing. We got a media company as well too. I've got a few other passion projects that we work on. Including on top of that, I do a lot of personal coaching, mentoring for business owners, obviously other brokers as well. And then I also have a private men's group that we deal with high performers, guys that were former athletes and others that were veterans and served our country. And then of course our other avatars, the guys that are at high level executive office or executive business owners that are in that corner office all by themselves. So that's a super high level. That's what I do. Plus, I'm also got 4 amazing kids and married to a rock star of a woman. So
I think the better question was, what doesn't Josh do?
Yeah.
What don't you do?
That's what I'm like.
What do you do?
The whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to start it off because I know where Cody's going to take. He's like, tell me how you got into real estate and what do you love about real estate? And that's all great and all, but I want to hear about why Josh started the men's group passion project, because I've been through one of these events with, through a couple of times because I got kicked out of once, but that's for another story.
Yeah.
But why, what is the passion around developing other people, and what is the passion around helping men become better leaders?
Yeah, man, I think it's a great question. I think, so much of it is the reason why I got into that space is because I was really searching for myself. I was very fortunate. I got to chase my dream of being a professional athlete for a number of years. And at the age of 26, it all kind of came crashing down. I'd had a number of surgeries and the jersey came off. And so I was pushed kind of on the other side of the sidelines going, wow. I thought I was going to do this the rest of my life. There's no way. I'm not 40 years old yet. I haven't done a retirement speech, right?
Whoa on the 40, bro. Slow down.
No, I'm 45 now, bro. So don't worry about it. We're good, man. I'm in my 40s now. But at the time, 26 years old, it's like, no way, dude. I was going to do the Cal Ripken. Let's do another tour. Let's wave goodbye to everybody. And my chapter in baseball was done before it really began, in a sense. So when I was on the other side of that sideline, it was kind of like, I don't know what I'm gonna do the rest of my life. I left the field broken physically, mentally, and emotionally. And I searched, man. I searched for what I wanted to do. I was uneducated. I was in debt. And I really didn't know what the heck I was going to do with my life. And so that's kind of really, honestly, just to maybe answer the question of like, well, how did I get into real estate? My dad was a builder. And the least path of entry was real estate. I could get a license in 2 weeks. Like, okay, I guess I'm going to do that. So I got into that only because I did not want to pound nails the rest of my life.
I'm really interested in the backstory of like how you got into it. Like, obviously it was the path of least resistance, but it doesn't sound like it was just the path of least resistance for you either, because you've went on to build a bunch of things. And maybe you could talk to us a little bit about the discipline that you created in that time, because like being a professional athlete requires a ton of discipline. So it's really, I'm always intrigued whenever I hear people's backstories around like why they're so successful in business and why they go on to do other things. And like oftentimes discipline, you know, and doing something really well tends to pop up here and there. Like what did that look like early on in your career, and like building everything you built now? Like what does that look like today? Like what does your day-to-day operation look like in the beginning, and what does it look like now?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack right there. I would say if I had to start there, and in fact, you've heard this before because you went through some really good hard men things, right? You know, I mean, you got, when you went through what was it that you went through with Bedros?
The Modern Day Night Project.
You went through Modern Day Night?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I've done a lot of things with Bedros since I met him. And I feel like our paths are going to cross a few times here in the next 12 months.
Yeah. When I went through, basically when I got on the other side of baseball, you know, I was once again broken. So here I am going, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with my life? And I came home, which was like the most embarrassing thing to ever do, because here I am, I was a small town boy. I was a big fish in a small town. I had all of these expectations on me. And to me, when I came back, it was extremely disappointing. So, and I let everybody down. And so what I was trying to do when I came back was to prove everybody wrong. I was trying to prove everybody wrong. Like that was like either my haters or the people that said, he's going to fail anyways. Right. So that was the determination for me to be like, okay, I'm going to be successful somehow. I got to do something. So whatever it was, which happened to be real estate at that time. But then what I ended up finding out is it was not like, it was so unfulfilling.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember like, and so in our market, just so everybody can understand, like our market is, and at the time when I was getting into real estate, it was 2006, average sales price was like $186,000. Wow. And I'm not kidding you. I remember my first $1 million closing. I was like 2 years into it, and, you know, $30,000 check. And I'm like, okay, this is it. Like, I'm going to celebrate this. We're going to go to Vegas. I'm taking my wife to Vegas. We're going to live this up. This is going to be awesome. And we get to the closing table, and it was empty. Yep. And I'm going, is this it?
Is this it?
Like, this is it. Like, this is the epitome of my business, my career. Right. And so from there, it really started to spur on, okay, well, there's got to be more. Right. And so really, I would tell you that all of these other businesses have really come from a desire to find, like, what is my bigger purpose? What is my bigger calling? What is the things that are going to give me fulfillment? And luckily what I did, and I recognize, is that I needed to make sure that every one of my businesses, they had connection with each other, right? Mm-hmm. The core of it, if you think of a wheel, is real estate, but everything is a complementary piece. And so the media company, the roofing company, the investment companies that I have, the property management company that I have that runs through that, like, they all complement each other. And that's what I'm trying to create, is that consistency, so that we're all helping each other win. And the more that we win, the bigger that we can get.
I love the fact that you say, I did all, like, people think that once you start to make money, that's what it's all about. And I know when you don't have a lot of money, right? Like, it's easy to stay at a point where when you have money, oh, well, you know, money doesn't make happiness. Money buys you the things that not having money solves, right? Yeah. Like, money just solves money problems, but it doesn't create that happiness.
Yeah.
And like, I relate to your story a lot. And it's like, there's so many agents that get into this industry because of the money, and they get burnt out because they're chasing the money instead of like chasing the client's happiness. Like, if we put the client in our center vision instead of like a commission check, it changes everything. And even like successful agents, sometimes, you know, we get stuck in that elusive era of finances, right? Because it's such a ego-driven company, like industry. I'm fascinated with so many people in this space because I think people come to real estate because they're really good-hearted people and they want to see others succeed. They like to see their clients succeed. I think that you went from there to opening your men's group because I to me that's way more fucking interesting than talking about another real estate story. Like I love real estate and I love that, but like to me there's so many more layers and dimensions, and Cody hasn't been in the industry, so he hasn't seen from a first eye point of view the broken souls that travel through these conferences that are kind of like swinging their, you know, hey, I got this much money, I did this many deals, and it's like the shallowness of it, you know. And so I think that, you know, you got your men's group, but I think like there's a lot more in there because you shared, first off, thank you for sharing openly and vulnerably. Because it's not easy for a, you know, if you guys are watching this on YouTube versus a podcast, Josh is not a small stature man. Like his arms are large, like he has got the beard, the whole physical appearance. When you got into when you found yourself soul searching and you found yourself broken and lost, I think there's a lot of people out there that are right now broken and lost, doing it for the money, not realizing that what they do changes lives.
Yeah.
And I think that if you could unpack that, not just for men, but for society, I think that would be really helpful for people. Like, how did you go from broken and broke down to I'm going to prove the world wrong to like, fuck it. It's not about others. It's about whatever it is for you.
Yeah, I think that's it's a great correlation in there. I would say this is that, you know, in order for you to be able to serve at your best, you have to be able to serve yourself first, right? And unfortunately, what we end up doing is we end up masking that. We take, once again, you probably heard, everybody's heard this before, you take care of yourself last. Yeah, but what does that really mean, right? And you highlighted this really well earlier when it comes to people often use the success of the financial part of their lives to be all what they are, right? And I call it, and when I was looking back, I was looking for men. I really was. I was looking for great examples of men that were killing it in business, crushing it in their marriage, living a great life, had a bright future, loved what they were doing, right? And I was looking for multi-dimensional men, but I kept on finding it was only single-dimensional men, right? One-dimensional men out there. And I think, unfortunately, that's what ends up happening is we mask all these other things in our lives.
Yeah.
You know, for me, it was all about fixing me. It was all about me trying to figure out like what were the broken pieces in me that I could fix, that I could change, that I could control, that I could start to face. And so much of it, man, like when I uncovered it, dude, what it was just all this brokenness and unforgiveness, right? This unforgiveness of not accomplishing these big goals and these big dreams that I had. The unforgiveness of maybe I screwed that up, maybe because I wasn't a great person, maybe because I made mistakes, maybe because I wasn't patient enough. Like all of those thoughts that we all have,
right?
You know, I kind of had to have my come to Jesus moment where I'm like, okay, I got to forgive myself for that. I got to be able to sit in that and say, it's going to be okay. And there's something even greater in my life. And so what I realized in those moments was that everything that had happened to me was going to be a gift for me for the future, meaning that I was going to look at those moments and say, what is it? It's preparing me for something. Like I'm not a mistake, right? That season of my life, that was a gift that I had received for the greatest chapter of my life that has been yet to be written, right? And as I would say, as men and women, as you're looking through like just the challenges that you've been facing over the last 3 years, we've gone through COVID, and there's been, you know, depending on where you're at in the country, you know, some of us, like Wyoming, all I've been telling people right now is like, we've been social distancing since they created our borders, man. So we have not felt what so many people in these big metropolitan areas have felt. And so it wasn't nearly as hard for us, even though we were experiencing some of the separation, some of the anxiety, some of the stress that others were feeling. But, you know, we are living in a post pandemic of people that have been isolated like they've never been before.
Totally.
Right.
And they didn't know how to handle it. They didn't know how to handle the silence. They didn't know how to handle the boredom. They didn't know how to handle themselves. Right. And so it's so important for us, the mental health, that mental aspect of it is so important for us to really dive into that and figure out what it is that makes us tick, what our greater purpose is, what our calling is, what your mission statement, like all those things. You have to spend time on the inner stuff with yourself.
Yeah. I'm really curious because you're a super successful business owner. Real estate agents, business owners, all alike, I think all at one point struggle with this idea of burnout and this idea of, and some people really might not know what burnout means, but they struggle with this idea of like, I'm doing so much and nothing good is coming my way.
Yeah.
Or they are afraid that if they put in the work that they potentially might neglect something like, their family, like if they have a family. I'm curious how you have managed to balance the ability to build something big with the ability to actually be present, and be a father and be, a husband. Like how have you been able to balance the building and just being present?
Well, let me just say first and foremost that I've done it absolutely imperfect. Yeah. And that is just the God's honest truth, because, when my first boy, Caden, was born, he was born in the very early mornings. And at that time, I was still trying to prove people wrong. I was trying to build my empire, right? I was trying to build my self-worth because I felt like my self-worth was so much wrapped into my business and my ability to build wealth, right? That morning, so this would have been the earlier hours of the morning, I'm laying in bed with my wife. We've got our newborn there, and they come in and give us breakfast. I get a text from a client, and they ask me, says, "Hey, listen, we'd really like to go see this commercial building again today. Can you meet us at 10:30?" And I said yes. Like, I left my son and I left my wife that morning to go show a building. So I say this because I've screwed this up, right? I'm a flawed man in that aspect. But I will say that because of that, I've also been able to really walk the talk, right? I'm walking exactly what I'm talking about because I've failed before and I was determined not to fail in the future. Now what that looks like is that I have a vision of what I want to do in my life. I've made sacrifices. Like, I don't sell real estate anymore. I broker, I help mentor, I help build, I help lead our agents in our company. And, when you decide to do that as a broker, you end up leaving a lot of money on the table sometimes.
Yeah.
But the money was not important anymore because I had already sacrificed time with my family. I'd sacrificed birthdays and parties and gatherings because I was out doing the work that I felt I needed to be doing. And as I started to understand the importance of what was I really trying to create here, I realized that, I can always make the money, but I cannot always have this time back. I cannot always have that moment with my kid back. I cannot always, I can't be the dad like right now if I sacrifice that right now. And so I started to have a vision for my life. I started to see like, okay, when my boys are this old, I want to be able to coach baseball with them. So what has to happen? Well, I can't be showing properties. I can't be doing sales. So what do I need to do in order to prepare for those moments in my life? And so I would say that you've got to get a vision for where you want to be at in life. And when you have the vision, then you can start to put the disciplines in so that you can start to make the sacrifice for that outcome.
We were talking to another gentleman just before you, Dan, and very similar. Like, you got to have the discipline, you got to have singularity. And for him, it was his big why was actually his like no BS rule. And it was like, I'm not willing to go back to serving tables. Like, now I have to make enough money to keep the roof over our head, keep my daughter in private school, pay for her whatever she needs, right? Like, it's just, I'm not going to be a deadbeat dad.
Yeah.
Right. Whatever we didn't get deep into his whys, but there's obviously a lot that, if we were to unpack that a little bit more, there's a, the words choices, I'm not going to be a shitty father or whatever he said. When you unpack those words, there's deep rooted meaning in it and all these things. And, what you said was, I'm flawed. And I would say you're not flawed. And I think everybody goes through their journey to get to where they want. Our souls have a journey that they need to travel through, and our body is just the vehicle to take our soul through the next level, is how I believe, right? Whatever everybody else believes is their choice. As you were going through these moments in life and you were analyzing what you were doing and you were realizing, hey, and you're evolving, let's bring that to business. So as you're evolving as a man and as a father and as a husband, you're also evolving multiple channels and multiple streams of income.
Yeah.
Over the last couple of decades.
Yep.
How does your evolution as a man or as a human help with the evolution of business?
Yeah. Well, so I would say this. Yeah, I mean, I always looked at it as a team sport, right? I mean, that's why I grew up in team sports, and I absolutely love team sports. And so when I was developing the companies, what I was always looking for was somebody else that was passionate alongside that business, right?
The who, not the how.
Exactly, right. And so when I found somebody that was passionate about it, then I looked for what that opportunity would be for collaboration. Okay, how do we connect right here, right? Each and one of the companies that we have, my job is to make sure that we put the right leader in that. I need the integrator in that, right?
Yeah.
And so part of it was I did want to have, I wanted to be recession proof, because I've gone through a number of them, right? And I hate that when you're just helpless and you're sitting around and going like, all my companies, like none of them are recession proof. What is going on? I have to have some diversity here. So part was just because of those experiences of going through hardships. But a lot of it was really, once again, just finding the right people that say, listen, I've got a passion for property management. I got a passion for roofing. I got a passion for media. And right now, I will tell you right now, like I'm in this transition period where I'm trying to find the person that's going to lead our real estate company that's got the passion for that, so that I can give him or her the keys to the kingdom, so to speak, right? And so I think it's really important as business owners and as entrepreneurs, as you're thinking about this and you want to expand, you've got to be looking at who else can you invite into those opportunities and those roles. And you don't have to control everything.
Yeah.
Right. In fact, it's better as we know, like it's better to be able to give that other person, give them the vision, necessarily have it, and let them go, because they will do greater things than you can possibly do, because you're doing other things in your life that are more passionate for you.
How do you think that real estate agents can make the shift? Because oftentimes we as marketers, like we talk about, like there seems to be a vast difference between a real estate entrepreneur and a real estate agent. How do you think that real estate agent, because you've worked with enough real estate agents and you've like worked alongside them, you coached them, what are some of the things that you look for in a real estate agent that you say, okay, this guy has it, or this guy can shift their mindset around like, hey, I'm an agent, I'm a salesperson, to like, I actually want to grow a business and I see myself more as an entrepreneur, more as a business owner or business builder. And it was really interesting because I was having this conversation with Chris Spiker as well, because he's built big things like you. I'm curious to know your thought process around that. And like, do you think that is something that can be trained, or do you think that is something that just people innately have? And some people are just naturally they're never gonna make it past the 4 to 6 homes they sell a year, or like then whatever the national average is right now, less than 8% of people, -3, less than 8% of people have sold more than 4 homes in this year. So I'm like curious to know, like, is it something that's trainable, or is it just like some people just don't succeed?
I would say a couple of things. One is that I think we can all could say that real estate exposes every one of your weaknesses. Right?
Yes,
it absolutely does. If you're not good at accounting, it's going to expose that. If you're not good with follow-up, it's going to expose that. If you're not good with phone conversations, it's going to expose that. Like whatever it is, as a business owner, real estate gives you the amazing opportunity to get exposed in the things that you are not good at. Right.
Yep.
And so I think that's first and foremost, is that we look at our industry and realize like, wow, it's not just about going out there and making sales. It's not just about maybe they're a great lead generator. It's not like that's just one part of it. Right. And those that figure out, of course, that you need support in those areas, those that say, listen, I'm really good at this lane, and I need to get really good people in these other lanes. Those are the ones that make it, right? The ones that say, well, I can do everything, are the ones that fail, right? And they're miserable. They get burned out, as you were kind of talking about earlier. Right. When it comes to our process, one of the things that we've realized very on and early is I'm a big Patrick Lencioni fan. I love his concept of you got to be humble, hungry, and smart. And we look for those three characteristics in every one of the people that we hire as as an agent or as a staff member or as a leader within our company. Now, obviously, sometimes people don't have all three of those characteristics, but then we look at it and say, okay, what can we do to support them in maybe that characteristic that isn't as strong as it needs to be? And if we did support them, are they capable of becoming who we see they can become? Doesn't always happen. Doesn't always work out that way, right? And obviously, the real estate market is completely imperfect. So there are times where you feel like, wow, this one is totally gonna get it, and then life throws them a curveball and they can't overcome it. And guess what? They're out of the industry. And then you have the other ones that, like, all of a sudden they get it, and you're just like, I did not see that coming.
Yeah,
off to the races, right? But if you can at least start with those three basic things: humble, hungry, and smart, I think you've got a really, really great chance that that person is going to be successful.
There's just so much wisdom from somebody who's built multiple businesses, right? Somebody who's been through such personal hardships in life, for somebody who's balancing, right? Because one of the challenges that entrepreneurs have is, how do you balance time? Because we all have the same amount of time. And Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, presidents of the countries, entrepreneurs, real estate agents, employees, we all have the same amount of time. So how do you prioritize your important things throughout your day? Because an entrepreneur's to-do list never ends.
Yeah.
Right. So I know one of the things you said is, how do I find the integrator? But before that, you were the integrator, right? You were showing houses with your newborn child, right? You were showing property when you had no integrator and you didn't have maybe the knowledge and experience you have now. How can we help somebody that's got success? They're doing $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 a year.
Yeah.
But they're plateaued, right, Josh? They don't know how to get out of their own way because they're holding on to the rope. How do you help somebody like that comes to you and your organization, or as a coaching client? How do you help them make their top priorities for the day?
Yeah, you bet. Well, I think I love this question. I was just talking to one of our mastermind groups this morning. We were kind of talking about, and the gal brought in a situation of how her life is actually transitioning now. She's able to be a part of her grandchild's life a little bit more, and her daughter's life. But she also, as a driver, she feels like, oh my gosh, I don't feel like I'm doing the things that I should be doing, because so much of my life was like 90 hours a week was working, right?
Go.
And I think what ends up happening is that we're in the fishbowl way too much, right? So I have to have somebody else. I think it's really important for somebody else to be looking at, like, what is obvious that they're seeing that we're not seeing. But more importantly, I think you have to understand and recognize, like, what season of life are you in? Like, where are you at in a season, right? And what I mean by this is that, so every year for me, because I've got 4 children that are absolutely unbelievably active in sports and all the other things that come along with that, right? And we're a very active family in general. I mean, I know that you love riding bikes. I love doing Spartan races. I love committing myself to, like, doing, like, hard things. So that takes time to do that. But I look at my year and I see what season I'm in. Am I a season where we have a little bit more downtime and I'm not coaching baseball, so my evenings are a little bit more available for me to do the extra work in this area, right? Am I a season right now that one of my companies really needs more attention from me because maybe we lost a key player, right? Or we're doing a big expansion. We're going to be adding another part of that firm, or piece of that firm, right? I'll take that season and say, okay, I'm going to devote more time to that place, right? I'm going to devote more time to that cause right there, right? But then I'm also looking at the next season going, okay, so but what do I need to be prepared for that one too, right? But I will compartmentalize it and say, I've got priorities for the next quarter.
Right.
These are the priorities. The other stuff has to wait. And then when I get to the next quarter, I can blow up my schedule. I can recognize what season I'm in there. And so for as just like, if we're talking about the person that you had just kind of mentioned there, if I'm talking to that person, I'm simply just going to ask them, okay, so where are you at in this season? Like, what does this look like for you? Are you burned out showing properties? Are you burned out working 70 hours a week, right? And we're going to have to start to find out, like, okay, what are the things that we need to take off the plate? How are you going to adjust your schedule to make sure that you're doing your highest and best priorities? And what can we implement and who can we implement into your system? Maybe it's a part-time VA. Maybe it's another agent that is just searching for a kickstart, right? Like I'm trying to figure out who we can actually put into their schedule that's going to take some of that pain point away, but then also give them a vision of like where that can go for the next season in their life.
Always the who.
Amen to that.
Josh, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts, like, kind of wrapping up here. So much value in so much knowledge around somebody that's actually, been where a lot of people want to go, building multiple businesses, doing multiple things, while
doing the personal work.
Yeah. By doing the personal work that, really allows you to be the best to everyone around you. So I'm just super grateful. If somebody were to want to reach out to you to kind of learn a little bit more about what you do, or like there's men listening to the podcast that want to learn a little bit more about the men's group, like where is the kind of the best place that we can send them in order to reach out to you?
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. First of all, you guys, this has been so much fun. Like what you guys are doing is awesome. And I am it's just an honor to be here. I do a drive time video every morning, 8:30 Mountain Standard Time on Instagram. I give you the first 15 minutes of my day. I talk about a challenge. I talk about maybe something funny that my daughter just said to me. She did find my replacement, by the way, the other day. She told me like this.
She found your replacement.
She did. She found there was a guy that is dating one of the moms on the soccer team's daughter, right? And she literally turned to me one night and she goes, Dad, if I ever had to have a stepdad,
Jesus.
Wow.
So I share with those types of things, but then I also, of course, awesome. Like, hey, this is what it means. Like, this is how it applies to life. So I give the first 15 minutes of my day there. But if you are a man, if you are a businessman, an owner of a company, you're an entrepreneur, especially if you're a veteran or a retired athlete, go to man-made.org. We've got an exclusive network for guys that we do stuff throughout the week. And then we do some amazing epic trips throughout the year. We just climbed the Grand up in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Damn. We've got the R3 scheduled for the end of March, which is the rim to rim to rim down at the Grand Canyon. And we're going to go tackle that beast and just have a great time, man. Go push ourselves and get some and build some camaraderie. So man-made.org.
And what's your Instagram?
Instagram is Joshua D. Kalinowski.
Thank you so much. Bottom of our hearts. Thank you. And thank you for tuning into another episode of the Our Agent podcast. We will see you soon.
Peace.
Peace.